Jeff's going to be able to go tonight?
Not certain of that yet, but there's still a possibility that he might be able to go. Going to go through a little bit more here this morning and get clarification on that.
Greenway?
Same, exactly the same. Yeah.
A positive step with Zemgus, obviously.
Being on the ice, yeah.
Is there still a possibility for him?
Saturday is not going to be with his progression. So he's on the ice now with the guys, but most likely not Saturday. I'd be very surprised if that was the case.
Don, what was your message to Devin with just the way that game went the other night? Taking him out, the timing that he did, and preparing him for the start.
Yeah, I mean he was pulled the other day in hopes of some momentum shift as well. I mean the group was not good enough in front of him. That was obvious, and my conversation with him was a little bit of that, and a lot of get excited about the next opportunity. And this is, be comfortable in this league with the need to rebound right away. And some days, some things have a short-term memory on, so they don't inhibit you from, being excited about your next opportunity, which I think he's like that. We talked a bit about his experience already this year, in situations that are much more pressure than he's felt or been in, and he loves challenges. So that was a good conversation.
How important is it for guys to be able to forget about the bad parts of those games, but to retain the lessons that you take away from that, to not repeat them continually?
It almost exemplifies life, right? You run into an adverse and negative in life, and then it can condition you and taint you to be more conservative or fearful the next time around. And that's why I say, guys that have been in the league longer and longer and longer sometimes hold the greatest fear. They've failed more. And where we're at as a team is we're playing tight and fearing the next mistake at times, and that obviously will complicate things for you every day. And so you got to let go of what you can let go of, and find that energy and excitement. And I think that everybody knows. We obviously went through some clips that were obvious errors, but you can't harbor much fear in this business, or you will pay the price for it.
Don, what's it like preparing for Matthews? 7 years roughly, guys on a 70-goal pace this year. I mean, just how amazing is that? What we've seen so far, and how tough is it to prepare for him?
I mean, he's obviously an elite goal scorer. When you mention the number 70, and he's consistent with it, so it's a five-man unit, and then obviously the goaltender, you can say 6 then. Against any top players, but specifically guys that don't need very much time or space to put a puck in the net, and he's one of those guys. So, it's a challenge. Every night you play against players in this league that are great players. This is a team with a lot of great players, and he is certainly one of them that you need to pay special attention to. A lot of times it's what you do with the puck. Can you keep it? Can you extend offensive zone possessions? Do you line change the right way? Because, the best players will take advantage of any little gap there is faster than the next guy. And, like I said, he's one of them.
You won the game in Toronto. What allowed you to win that game? I think it was 6-4 or something like that. What allowed you to win that game?
I think the two things I mentioned yesterday when we were sitting here is compete and pace. And I thought we were at a high compete level, and we played with real good pace in that game. And when we see our identity is really built around those two things, and a lot falls into place when you have high compete and you can play with pace. And I know that was a key that night in Toronto.
Brian Johnson came up, and it seemed like maybe he'd get a game or two and then he'd go back. But I mean, here we are 7 weeks later. I guess what's allowed him to stick in the NHL for this long?
Consistency. He's been very consistent. We have 7D, so we've been able to pull him out a little bit and give him some breathing room, and keep him fresh. The grind of the league is it's a physical grind, but it's psychological grind too, and he's handled it well for a young guy. I think 4 years at university, and we've watched him grow in this organization and mature. So I think there's a level of maturity, obviously a base level of skill, and I think not having to play every single night and being surrounded by some pretty good guys in the back end, Darlene, Samuelson has helped as well.
As far as,
Is he going in?
He is, yeah.
just as far as, we knew he was a like you say, mature prospect, played 4 years of college, but I mean, has he even maybe exceeded your own expectations a little bit? He spent, what, 3 weeks in the AHL, and he's up here now?
Yeah, he has. I mean, there's no question. You have a guy come from college, he hasn't have any pro experience, let alone NHL experience. You figure he's probably going to need some time, and he proved that he was ahead of a normal pace of a player with that respect.
Because your teams are just a short drive away, in your time here, have you sensed that your guys get up for these games against Leafs maybe a little bit more than the average game?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You'd like to think they're up for every game, but I mean, you certainly do know of the rivalry. There's, even the guys that have been here just a couple years, most of them were here for the Heritage Classic a couple years ago and games in Toronto. So yeah, I think they, and obviously a lot of Canadian players. So it's, you guys know, the lots of teams get up for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and for a good reason. And yeah, I think they do.
Ryan Johnson, he seems like when you talk to him, nothing phases him. I mean, he's always the same. Whether you've won, you've lost, it just seems like he has that level-headedness as a 21-year-old. Is that one of the things you think that has helped him to get into the NHL so quickly? I
do. I think that's a very solid trait that helps him be consistent. Your challenge in this league when you can't maintain, when your consistency through ups and downs and grinds and travel and all this stuff, and he's matured enough and consistent enough as a person that I think those traits carry very conducive to combating the challenges at this level. Thank you.